Now on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
WMAL. 100 men versus one gorilla. Who's winning?
Where's the fight, first of all?
The 100 men.
Who are the 100 men? Let's get that in order.
You think 100 men is going to beat one gorilla?
Yes.
If the fight is a mandatory stay alive, I would go with the 100 men.
100 men?
100 men.
Do you know how big a gorilla is?
The gorilla going to get tired, and they're going to be coming from all directions.
It's going to be one gorilla knocking out 100 men. That's what it's going to be. And I promise you that. Once those knuckles hit the ground, bam.
All right, so that is the big debate. It is 737 WMAL News Talk 105.9. I'm here with Derek Hunter. It's Patrice Onwuka, and we've got a big debate right now exploding on social media about whether 100 men can take one gorilla. And Derek has said 100 men can. I have said no, the gorilla will win. Here to referee our own match is Ron Magill, Communications Director for the Zoo of Miami. Ron, welcome to our show.
My pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
All right, terrific. Well, I'm sure you're probably exhausted answering this question. Do you think that 100 men could fight a gorilla and win?
Well, you got to preface this by first of all saying how ridiculous this is to bring it up, because gorillas are gentle giants. They are not an aggressive animal. You know, a gorilla would only be aggressive to protect his family. This is not the King Kong of movies. A gorilla couldn't be any further from that. So people need to understand that.
Well, we're talking about a gorilla with an attitude. Maybe he was picked on in high school. The prepubescent years were not good.
Captivated and
scarred him
just
for
goes
life.
berserk.
Okay, putting aside that this animal, again, is a large, gentle giant that would never have this kind of conflict. Any gorilla seeing 100 men would just run away. But having said that, if you're just going to go strength and strength, the bottom line is no gorilla would be able to beat 100 men if the 100 men were committed, unified, and dedicated, coming in all at once. It's just it's a common sense thing. I mean, the gorilla can weigh between a gorilla can weigh between 400 and 500 pounds. You take an average man of 150 pounds. You take that times 100. You're talking about 15,000 pounds. That's a lot of that's a lot of weight. And if they come in committed, to the end.
And there are a lot of American men who weigh between 400 and 500 pounds too. So we could just throw them at
let's
them.
be real. They're going to be tumbling over. But listen, Ron, you said these have to be committed men. Do you not think that the first 10 would get mulled down, and the next maybe even 50 in the back are decide to back out? This is not a good idea. I mean,
yeah, no, you have a point. Yeah, you have a point there. No, my bottom line is that these men have to be committed, understanding that probably, the first line is going to be kamikazes.
Yes.
This gorilla can, and again, the gorilla wouldn't come out of aggressiveness. It would be strictly out of trying to defend itself. It's an incredibly powerful animal. Many times.
Yeah, this has to be like Thunderdome, where 2 men enter, 1 man leaves, as Tina Turner or Master Blaster or it was said in Thunderdome. But it said 100 men enter and they don't get out unless somebody wins. That's if you just picked random 100 people off the bus stop, yeah, I would see them running in fear for their lives. But if you say, hey, it's fight or flight, and you win something at the end, because I think ultimately, Ron, we're looking at the makings, the early stages, the brainstorming of a game show, I think. Probably for cable, maybe even for pay channels, depending on how the practices go. But
yeah, they've done this thing already on several of the cable channels. Who would win between a shark and a crocodile? Who would win between a lion and a tiger? This is all this premise of just proving that people have way too much time on their hands. The internet has just got a little bit insane.
As a society that produced 7 Sharknado movies, I resent that, and I loved every single one of them. Again, they were important, vital, critical moments of our culture. They're not a frivolous thing.
And again, I'm willing to play along, a little tongue-in-cheek here with this whole thing. But the main point to be made is that gorillas really are incredible animals. They're gentle giants. They would never be in this situation.
Okay, then let's go a little more aggressive. A hungry lion, a well-fed but hungry at the moment lion versus 12 guys from Idaho. Armed with potato. Like, is there an animal that you think could easily take a whole bunch of people? Aside from like a tarantula sneaking up and biting everybody or something?
Well, since you're insisting on this conflict scenario, yeah, I don't think.
You could say you could beat him at chess, but I don't think that's really a giant contest.
I know what you're saying. The bottom line is assuming that the men have no weapons. Of course, this is just mano a mano.
Uh-huh.
I don't think that there'd be any group of men that could take down an elephant. A rhino, even a hippo, some of the pachyderms. These are massive animals, incredibly powerful, and would not be subjected to inflicted injury from a human being in the form of a punch or a bite just because of their thick skin. And again, I'm just playing along with this scenario, as ridiculous as it is.
I'm not going to accuse
I don't
you.
want to.
When we get arrested for our fight club against elephants and hippos in the future, when Patrice and I are sitting in court, we're going to go, Ron Magill put us up to this. He's down in Miami. Go get him. We'll totally turn state's evidence against Ron Magill.
Ron, let me save you here. Ron, let me save you here, because I'm looking at the website about you, and it seems like you're an animal enthusiast and that you want a growing appreciation and a respect for animals, which this fight club would absolutely
for the animals. I
not
prefer
be.
them to our species, Patrice, but I'm a realist.
Listen, I prefer them dead on my plate. But that said, there are other people who love them. And so, Ron, talk to us about some of the efforts that you do personally or through the Miami Zoo to foster that appreciation for animals. Win me over.
We just try to educate people about, get away to these. If people look at gorillas, they think of King Kong. There's no gorillas going to climb the Empire State Building and grab planes out of the air. These are gentle giants. They're vegetarians. They don't even eat meat, for Pete's sake. I've been privileged to be side by side with them in the wild and just in awe of how gentle, how committed they are to the family. These are amazing animals. So I understand. Listen, again, I think extremism in any form is dangerous. So I'll play tongue-in-cheek along with this, as long as people understand it's tongue-in-cheek. And hopefully it affords a platform to make people understand, hey, I never knew gorillas were vegetarians. I never thought gorillas were gentle giants. So hopefully through this ridiculousness of this platform, we're also educating some people and getting to care. That's all.
All right. Well, you've gotten me to care.
A donation has been made in the name of Harambe to the...
There you go.
Ron, thank you so much for being a good sport with us this morning. And folks, if you're in Miami, it sounds like go down and check out the Miami Zoo and learn more about what you guys do there. Thanks, Ron Magill, Communications Director of Miami Zoo.
Always.
All right, it is 7:44.